had to realize that I was worth loving, loving, loving. I had to realize that I was worth loving, loving, loving.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Worth Loving podcast. I'm your host, Keana W. Mitchell, relationship coach, emotional safety advocate, and your weekly reminder that you deserve a love that feels like peace and not confusion. So today we're going to look into a topic that many people struggle with, but rarely talk about openly, and that is, what is the difference between an emotional affair and micro-cheating? Now listen, I know just hearing these words might make your stomach drop a little. These are the kind of betrayals that don't always come with obvious signs. They don't always look like what we traditionally think of as cheating, right? So sometimes they start quickly, subtly, and almost innocently, until suddenly you're sitting there wondering, what is this? What is happening? Am I overreacting? Is this something? And if you've ever been in that place, I want you to take a deep breath. You are not alone, and you are not imagining things. Emotional affairs and micro-cheating are real, they're painful, and they can absolutely impact the health of a relationship. But today, we're going to be breaking down this in a way that feels clear, grounded, and empowering, not overwhelming or fearful, okay? We're going to talk about what each looks like and how to spot the early signs, and what the research says from leading psychologists like Dr. Gottman, Dr. Shirley Glass, and Esther Perel, and how these behaviors affect trust and connection. And of course, we'll talk about what healing and reconciliation might look like if you choose to stay, and how to know when it might be time to walk away. So, before we do that, we are going to talk about last week's episode of the podcast. So last week on the podcast, we talked about whether you should stay or whether you should leave if you are in a relationship where there's cheating. And we did recognize last week that that's one of the hardest decisions anyone can face in a relationship, whether they should stay or whether they should go. And we didn't sugarcoat it. We talked about the emotional shock, the grief, the confusion, and the way betrayal shakes the foundation of your sense of self and also your sense of safety. We also talked about how to evaluate whether trust can be rebuilt, because rebuilding trust isn't about saying I'm sorry and moving on. It's about consistent actions, transparency, accountability, and a willingness to repair the damage, not just the relationship, but the emotional wound. We talked about the difference between remorse and manipulation, because remorse says, I hurt you and I'm committed to doing what I need to do to make this right. Manipulation says, can we just move past this? You're being dramatic. And if you listened last week, you know exactly which one is a red flag. We also explored the idea that healing is personal. Some people choose to stay and rebuild, and that can be a beautiful redemptive process. Others choose to walk away, and that can be equally courageous and necessary. So there is no one-size-fits-all answer. Only what aligns with your emotional safety and your long-term well-being. Now, today's episode builds on that foundation, because before you can decide whether to stay or leave, you have to understand what kind of betrayal you're dealing with. And emotional affairs and micro-cheating often fall into that gray area that people often overlook. So let's look into the definition of emotional affairs and micro-cheating, okay? Let's start by defining what we're talking about, because emotional affairs and micro-cheating are not the same thing. They often live on the same spectrum of boundary-crossing behavior. So, what is an emotional affair? According to Dr. Shirley Glass, one of the leading researchers on infidelity, emotional affairs often begin as innocent friendships, but over time, the emotional intimacy between these two people deepens in a way that starts to replace the intimacy in the primary relationship. This is when the friendship, quote unquote, becomes the emotional home. You start sharing your fears, frustrations, hopes, and dreams with someone outside your relationship. You turn toward them instead of to your partner. You feel excited or anticipation before interacting with them. And most importantly, secrecy begins. Esther Perel described emotional affairs as the space where desire, imagination, and emotional energy go when they leave the relationship. So it's not always physical, but it is deeply intimate and personal. What is micro cheating? Micro cheating is different. Dr. John Gottman describes it as small behaviors that signal emotional or romantic interest outside the relationship, the tiny cracks in the foundation. So it might look like flirty comments, secretive texting, deleting messages, hiding social media interactions, or keeping someone on the hook for validation. Micro cheating doesn't always mean someone is having an affair, but it does mean they're crossing boundaries, seeking attention outside the relationship, or testing the limits of what they can get away with. Both behaviors matter because both can erode trust. So before we get into how to spot whether your partner is having an emotional affair or if your partner is micro cheating, we are going to hear a word from one of our sponsors. I want to take a moment to share something that can support you if you're ready to go deeper in your healing journey. My 12-week trauma-informed coaching program, You Are Worth Loving, is designed specifically for women who are healing from emotional abuse, rebuilding self-trust, and learning how to choose relationships that feel safe, healthy, and aligned. Inside the program, we work together to help you understand your attachment patterns, rebuild your sense of worthiness, learn how to set boundaries without guilt, break free from cycles of emotional unavailability, strengthen your intuition, and create a vision for healthy love. This isn't a surface level program, it's deeply supportive, emotionally safe, where you can heal at your own pace. You'll receive weekly coaching, guided exercises, and tools rooted in research from leading psychiatrists. Their work on attachment, trauma, and self compassion forms the foundation of the program. Some of the psychologists we will be using their research on is Dr. Sue Johnson, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, and Dr. Kirsten Neff. Their work is amazing, and I've used a lot of it in the podcast. So this is what we use to build our program and to make sure that people who are in the program get the help that they need. If you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, I know what I need to do, but I don't know how to actually do it, then this program is for you. You don't have to navigate healing alone. You don't have to guess your way through dating or relationships. You deserve support, clarity, and a roadmap. So, if you're interested in joining the next class, stay tuned. Enrollment opens soon, and I would love to walk alongside you on this journey. Now, let's get back into today's episode. Emotional affairs are tricky because they don't always look like cheating. There's no hotel room, there's no lipstick on a collar, no obvious betrayal. Instead, it's emotional energy being redirected. And that can be just as painful, sometimes even more. So here are some signs based on Dr. Shirley Glass research. Increased secrecy. So they suddenly guard their phone, change passwords, or step out of the room to talk, right? Number two, emotional withdrawal. They stop sharing their inner world with you. Conversations feel surface level. Number three, comparison. They start comparing you to the other person, even subtly. Number four, emotional excitement. They light up when they talk about this person or when a message comes through. Number five, they minimize the relationship. So they may say things like, oh, we're just friends, but their behavior tells a whole different story. Number six, confiding in the outside person. So they share personal struggles, frustrations, or intimate details with them instead of with you. Defensiveness, number seven. So if you bring it up, they get overly defensive or accuse you of being insecure. The biggest red flag, the outside person becomes the first person they turn to for emotional support. That shift, that emotional leaning, it is what makes it an affair. So it's not about sex. It's about intimacy, secrecy, and emotional displacement. And if you've ever felt like you're being replaced emotionally, that feeling is valid. Emotional affairs create deep wounds because they violate the emotional bond that relationships are built on. So, this is how you can spot micro cheating. So we talked about how to spot emotional cheating or emotional affairs. So let's talk about how to spot micro cheating, okay? So micro cheating is very subtle. It's the kind of behavior people will often dismiss as harmless, just joking, or you're overthinking it, right? But micro cheating matters because it reveals where someone's attention and emotional energy is drifting. So here are some common signs. Number one, secretive texting or deleting messages. If nothing is going on, why hide it? Number two, flirting disguised as humor. And they may say something like, relax, it was just a joke. That is a classic deflection. Number three, keeping someone just in case. So this might look like maintaining a flirty relationship or friendship or staying connected with an ex. Number four, over-investing in someone's attention. So they light up when a certain person comments or messages them. Number five, hiding social media interactions like DMs, comments, all done quietly. Number six, seeking validation outside the relationship. Now, this is a big one because when someone needs external validation to feel desirable, they may start crossing those boundaries. Number seven, lying about small interactions. Even tiny lies signals a breach of trust. Micro cheating doesn't always mean someone is having an affair, but it does mean they're crossing boundaries that protect emotional safety. And as Dr. Gottman teaches, betrayal begins long before the affair. It begins with the absence of turning toward your partner. So micro cheating is often the first step in that direction. Both emotional affairs and micro cheating create emotional instability in a relationship, but in different ways. Emotional affairs create deep emotional wounds because they involve intimacy, secrecy, and emotional displacement. When your partner turns to someone else for emotional support, you feel replaced. You feel like you're losing your place in their heart. And that hurts in a way that's hard to describe. Emotional affairs can destroy trust, create emotional distance, erode intimacy, trigger anxiety and insecurity, and make the betrayed partner question their worth. Many people say emotional affairs hurt more than physical ones because the emotional bond is what makes a relationship feel safe. Remember in a previous episode, I think it was a few episodes ago, last month or something, where we talked about what is more important, emotional intimacy and physical intimacy. And remember how we talked about emotional intimacy is the foundation of the relationship, while physical intimacy does help the relationship, but only after emotional intimacy is built. So you see why an emotional affair can hurt a lot more than a physical one, even though both are painful, harmful, and hurtful to the relationship. Micro cheating. Now, micro cheating creates a different kind of pain. It's the slow erosion of trust. It's the feeling that something is off, even when you can't prove it. It's the sense that your partner is seeking attention elsewhere. Micro cheating can create insecurity, build resentment, weaken emotional connection, open the door to bigger betrayals, and signal unmet needs or avoidance. Both behaviors matter because both chip away at the foundation of trust, and trust is the heartbeat of a healthy relationship. Dr. Shirley Glass' walls and windows theory is one of the most powerful frameworks for understanding emotional affairs. So, in a healthy relationship, a wall protects the relationship from outside threats. A window stays open between partners, which allows intimacy, vulnerability, and connection. But in an affair, emotional or physical, the structure flips. The window opens toward the outside person, and the wall goes up between the partners. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly through small choices, sharing personal details, seeking emotional comfort, hiding conversations, minimizing the connection, and comparing the partner to the outside person. The window opens wider and wider, and the wall grows taller. This is why emotional affairs feel so devastating. It's not just that your partner connected with someone else, it's that they closed the emotional window between you. The good news is that walls and windows can be rebuilt, but it does require honesty, transparency, accountability, cutting off the outside connection, rebuilding emotional intimacy, and choosing each other again. So just like we talked about last week, how to rebuild after an affair, a physical affair, you would rebuild the same way. This theory can help couples understand not just what happened, but how it happened. Now, the song we're going to listen to this week is called Emotional, and it is by our podcast artist and my alter ego, Emery Rose. The song is about a woman who is having an emotional affair and she's trying to figure out what to do. So here is the song Emotional by our podcast artist and my alter ego, Emery Rose.
Hey, yeah. Sitting here in my chair, my mind is everywhere. I keep thinking about what we did last night. There is something I need to tell him, 'cause I have a secret I've been hiding. I never wanted him to find out. I think he might even walk out. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you. The feeling was mutual, I guess that's how it goes. When you meet somebody you both know. There is something I need to tell him, 'cause I have a secret I've been hiding. I never wanted him to find out. I think he might even walk out. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you. I gotta be honest with you, you need to know that I'm married. I need to end this emotional affair, because I still wanna be with him. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you. I feel emotionally connected to you, but I know I should stay far away from you.
Reconciliation after an emotional betrayal is possible, but it does require real work, not performative work, not let's pretend this never happened work, real, sustained, emotionally mature work. Here's what that looks like: radical honesty, no more secrets, no more half truths, no more minimizing. Transparency. This might mean sharing passwords, opening communication, and being accountable, and letting your partner see your phone or social media. Cutting off the outside connection. Not, we're just friends, quote unquote. Not, I don't want to be rude, quote unquote. A clear break, period. Understanding the why. Not to excuse the behavior, but to understand the vulnerability that led to it. Rebuilding trust through consistent actions. Trust isn't rebuilt through words, it's rebuilt through patterns and actions. Reestablishing emotional intimacy. This means turning toward each other again and not away. And patience. Healing takes time. The betrayed partner needs space to process. Reconciliation is possible, but only if both people are committed to the process. This is the part that only you can answer. But here are some questions to guide you. Question number 1. Is there genuine remorse? Not defensiveness, not blame, but remorse. Question number 2. Are they willing to cut off the outside connection? If the answer is no, that's your answer. Question number 3. Are they willing to rebuild the trust slowly? Not rush you, not pressure you, but rebuild trust slowly. Question number 4. Do you feel emotionally safe with them? Your nervous system will tell you the truth and answer that question. Question number 5. Are they taking responsibility or are they making excuses? Question number 6. Is the relationship pattern healthy enough to repair? Some relationships don't have that foundation and some don't. Question number 7. Are you willing to rebel? Not obligated, not pressured, but willing. You are not wrong if you choose to stay and rebuild. You are not wrong if you choose to walk away. You are not wrong for wanting peace. You are not wrong for wanting clarity. You are not wrong for wanting emotional safety. You deserve a relationship where the window is open towards you and not someone else. All right, well, guys, it's the end of the podcast for this week. Now, don't forget, tomorrow we do have our question and answer section of the podcast or episode. So feel free to send questions in, whether it's a question about what you heard today or whether it's a question about anything we talked about or anything you're thinking about. Feel free to send in those questions. And you can find the email address to send those questions in the show notes, okay? So send in those questions. Don't forget, tomorrow we do have our question and answer episode. And until next time, have an amazing day and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.